Close your eyes and imagine a world where communication meant being tethered to a wall, where getting lost required stopping to ask for directions, and where capturing a moment meant carrying a separate camera. This was our reality just 2 decades ago, before a revolutionary device quietly transformed every aspect of human existence. Tonight, we embark on a gentle journey through the fascinating evolution of the smartphone, from its humble beginnings as a clunky, brick-like communicator to the sleek, powerful companion that now rests beside your pillow. This is a story of human ingenuity, of dreamers who dared to imagine a computer in every pocket, and of the surprising ways this small device reshaped our entire world. As you settle into comfort, let the soft glow of innovation guide you through decades of technological wonder. We'll explore the minds behind the magic, the breakthrough moments that changed everything, and the quiet revolution that happened one upgrade at a time. So breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, and let us begin this peaceful exploration of how humanity learned to hold the future in the palm of our hands. Our story begins in the early 1990s, in the quiet corridors of IBM's research facilities, where engineer Frank Canova held a vision that seemed almost magical. Picture, if you will, a device that could make phone calls, send messages, and organize your life, all in one compact unit. This wasn't science fiction. This was the IBM Simon personal communicator, the world's first true smartphone. Released in August 1994, the Simon was indeed a brick, weighing 18 ounces and measuring 8 inches tall. Imagine holding a device heavier than today's iPad, with a monochrome screen that glowed softly in the darkness. Yet within this hefty frame lay the seeds of our mobile future. The Simon's 4.5-inch touchscreen responded to a stylus, allowing users to write directly on the display. A concept so advanced it would become mainstream for another decade. With 1 megabyte of memory and a 16 megahertz processor, it could send emails, faxes, and even play simple games. The device ran for just 1 hour of talk time, requiring frequent returns to its charging cradle, like a digital pet that needed constant care. Frank Canova and his team had created something extraordinary, yet the world wasn't quite ready. Priced at $899 with a 2-year contract, equivalent to over $2,000 today, only 50,000 units found homes during its brief 6-month lifespan. The Simon was a prophet without honor, a glimpse of tomorrow that arrived too early, but seeds had been planted. The concept of convergence, combining phone, computer, and organizer into one device, had been born. As the Simon quietly disappeared from store shelves in February 1995, its legacy lived on in the minds of engineers and dreamers around the world. The first smartphone had spoken, and though its voice was brief, it whispered of a future where communication would never be the same. As the late 1990s painted the sky with the warm colors of technological dawn, a Finnish company named Nokia was quietly crafting the next chapter of our story. In the peaceful offices of Tampere, Finland, engineer Reijo Pananen and his team were developing something they called the Communicator, a name that would define an entire era. The Nokia 9000 Communicator, unveiled in March 1996, was a marvel of engineering elegance. Unlike the Simon's brick-like form, the Communicator embraced a clamshell design that seemed almost organic in its functionality. When closed, it resembled a slightly oversized phone, but open it and magic unfolded. A full QWERTY keyboard and a large monochrome display revealed themselves like a secret garden of productivity. Picture the quiet satisfaction of typing on those tiny keys, each press creating a soft click that echoed in the stillness of early morning offices. The Communicator could browse the early World Wide Web, send emails across continents, and manage calendars with the precision of a Swiss timepiece. The device ran on an AMD processor at 24 MHz, with 8 MB of memory carefully divided between system, programs, and user data. Its 640-200 pixel display may seem primitive now, but in 1996, it was a window into the future. Users could connect to the internet at 9.6 kbps, downloading emails and web pages with the patience of digital monks. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, another revolution was quietly brewing. In the warm California sunshine, Jeff Hawkins was carrying a wooden block in his shirt pocket, not as an art project, but as a vision. For months, he pretended this block was a computer, taking notes on its imaginary screen, answering imaginary calls. His colleagues thought he'd lost his mind, but Hawkins was designing the future through pure imagination. This wooden prototype would become the Palm Pilot, launched in 1996 as a personal digital assistant that redefined portable computing. The Pilot wasn't a phone, but it was something equally revolutionary, a computer that fit in your palm, with handwriting recognition so intuitive it felt like magic. The Palm Pilot's graffiti system taught users a simplified alphabet, each letter drawn with a single stroke. There was something almost meditative about learning this new language, practicing the flowing motions until they became second nature. The device synchronized with desktop computers through a process called hot sync, creating a bridge between the digital and physical worlds. These early pioneers, the Simon, the Communicator, the Palm Pilot, were like gentle streams converging toward a mighty river. Each contributed essential elements: touchscreen interaction, internet connectivity, portable computing, and intuitive design. They were the quiet heroes of our story, preparing the world for what was to come. As the millennium approached, these devices hummed softly in briefcases and pockets around the world, their users unaware they were holding the building blocks of a revolution that would soon transform every aspect of human communication. January 9th, 2007, the Moscone Center in San Francisco buzzed with anticipation as a figure in a black turtleneck took the stage. Steve Jobs, with his characteristic calm confidence, was about to unveil something that would change the world forever. But let us step back from that dramatic moment and imagine the quiet years of preparation that led to this revolutionary instant. In the peaceful corridors of Apple's Cupertino campus, teams of engineers had been working in secret, crafting something they called Project Purple. The challenge seemed impossible. Create a phone that was also an iPod, also an internet device, all wrapped in a design so elegant it would make everything else seem clunky and outdated. The breakthrough came with multi-touch technology, the ability to use fingers, not styluses, to interact with a screen. Imagine the first time an engineer swiped across that prototype display and watched icons glide smoothly beneath their fingertip. It must have felt like touching liquid light, like commanding the digital world with the most natural gestures humans possess. Jobs understood that this wasn't just about technology, it was about magic. As he stood on that stage, he didn't just announce a product, he told a story. Today, he said with quiet reverence, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. The iPhone that emerged from his presentation was a masterpiece of minimalism. A single home button, a 3.5-inch screen that responded to touch with fluid grace. No physical keyboard, just a virtual one that appeared when needed, then vanished like morning mist. The device was just 11.6 millimeters thin, crafted from aluminum and glass with the precision of a fine watch. But the real magic lay in the software. Mac OS X, the same operating system that powered desktop computers, had been carefully adapted for this tiny screen. Applications launched with smooth animations. Photos could be zoomed with a simple pinch gesture. The web browser displayed full websites, not the cramped mobile versions users had grown accustomed to. The iPhone's camera captured moments with 2-megapixel clarity, while sensors detected when the device was brought to your ear, automatically dimming the screen to save battery. An accelerometer knew when you rotated the phone, spinning the interface to match your movement. These features seem mundane now, but in 2007, they felt like glimpses of an alien technology. Perhaps most revolutionary was the App Store concept, though it wouldn't launch until the following year. Jobs envisioned a digital marketplace where developers could create applications for this new platform, extending its capabilities infinitely. The iPhone wasn't just a device, it was an ecosystem waiting to bloom. The presentation lasted 90 minutes, but its impact would echo through decades. As Jobs concluded with his signature, "One more thing, ... and revealed the iPhone's $499 price point, the audience erupted in applause. They were witnessing the birth of the modern smartphone era. The iPhone launched on June 29, 2007, with lines of eager customers stretching around city blocks. Those first users, cradling their new devices like precious artifacts, had no idea they were holding the future of human communication. The touchscreen revolution had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. In the quiet moments after that historic launch, as the first iPhones glowed softly in darkened bedrooms around the world, a new chapter of human connectivity was being written, one swipe at a time. While Apple's iPhone captured headlines and hearts, another revolution was quietly brewing in the laboratories of Google. This story begins not with fanfare, but with a small startup in Palo Alto, California, where four visionaries, Andy Rubin, Rich Miner, Nick Sears, and Chris White, dreamed of creating smarter mobile devices. Android Inc., founded in October 2003, initially focused on digital cameras. But as the founders watched the mobile phone market evolve, they pivoted towards something more ambitious, an operating system that could power any manufacturer's device. Their vision was radically different from Apple's. Instead of one company controlling everything, they imagined an open ecosystem where innovation could flourish freely. In July 2005, Google quietly acquired Android Inc. for $50 million, bringing Andy Rubin and his team into the search giant's fold. The decision to base Android on the Linux kernel was crucial. This open-source foundation would allow Google to offer the operating system to manufacturers for free, fundamentally disrupting the mobile industry's business model. Picture the quiet intensity in Google's Mountain View offices as engineers worked to create something unprecedented, a mobile operating system that could adapt to any screen size, any hardware configuration, any manufacturer's vision. They weren't just building software, they were crafting the foundation for a new kind of digital democracy. On November 5, 2007, just months after the iPhone's debut, Google unveiled Android to the world. But this wasn't a single device launch. It was the birth of the Open Handset Alliance, a consortium of technology companies, including HTC, Motorola, Samsung, and dozens of others, all united by a common vision of open mobile computing. The first Android device, the HTC Dream, arrived in October 2008. It was a curious creature, part iPhone inspiration, part BlackBerry practicality. The Dream featured a slide-out physical keyboard and a 3.2-inch touchscreen, running Android 1.0 with its distinctive green robot mascot designed by Irina Block. Android 1.0 was remarkably ambitious for a first release. It included the Android market, deep integration with Google services, and support for widgets, small applications that could display information directly on the home screen. While the iPhone required users to open apps for information, Android brought that information to the surface, creating a more dynamic, personalized experience. The beauty of Android lay not in any single device, but in its diversity. Unlike Apple's singular vision, Android embraced chaos and creativity. Manufacturers could customize the interface, add their own features, and create devices for every possible market segment. Samsung crafted premium flagship phones, while other manufacturers focused on affordable options for emerging markets. Each Android version brought new capabilities, named after desserts in alphabetical order. Cupcake introduced video recording, and widgets. Donut added support for different screen sizes. Eclair brought live wallpapers and Google Maps navigation. These updates arrived like gentle seasons, each bringing new growth to the Android ecosystem. The Gingerbread release in 2010 marked Android's coming of age, with a refined user interface and support for near-field communication. Honeycomb, designed specifically for tablets, showed Android's adaptability to larger screens. Ice Cream Sandwich unified the phone and tablet experiences, while Jelly Bean introduced Google Now, the search giant's first major foray into artificial intelligence assistance. By 2012, Android had achieved something remarkable. It had become the world's most popular mobile operating system, powering devices from premium flagships to budget smartphones in developing nations. The open-source model had succeeded beyond Google's wildest dreams, creating an ecosystem where innovation could flourish at every price point. As Android devices glowed softly in bedrooms around the world, from Seoul to São Paulo, from Mumbai to Manchester, they represented something profound: the democratization of mobile computing. The smartphone was no longer a luxury item. It was becoming a universal tool for human connection and creativity. The Android awakening had transformed the mobile landscape from a walled garden into a vast, diverse ecosystem where millions of developers could create, where billions of users could connect, and where the future of mobile computing would be written not by one company, but by the collective imagination of humanity itself. As the 2010s dawned, smartphones began their transformation from communication devices into something far more profound: pocket-sized supercomputers that would reshape every aspect of human existence. The devices that emerged during this golden age of innovation possessed processing power that would have been unimaginable just a decade earlier. Consider the iPhone 4, released in 2010 with its revolutionary Retina display. The screen packed 326 pixels per inch, so dense that the human eye could distinguish individual pixels at normal viewing distance. Holding this device felt like peering through a window into a digital world of unprecedented clarity. The phone's A4 processor, designed by Apple's own engineers, delivered performance that rivaled laptop computers of just a few years prior. Meanwhile, Android devices were pushing boundaries in different directions. Samsung's Galaxy series introduced larger screens, challenging the notion that phones needed to fit comfortably in one hand. The Galaxy Note, with its 5.3-inch display and included stylus, created an entirely new category. The phablet users discovered the joy of watching videos, reading books, and creating digital art on these expansive canvases. The camera revolution was equally transformative. Early smartphone cameras were novelties, useful for quick snapshots, but hardly replacements for dedicated cameras. But as sensors improved and computational photography emerged, something magical happened. The iPhone 4S introduced an 8-megapixel camera that could capture images, rivaling point-and-shoot cameras. More importantly, it was always in your pocket, ready to capture life's fleeting moments. Instagram, launched in 2010, perfectly captured this cultural shift. Suddenly, everyone was a photographer, transforming mundane moments into artistic expressions with carefully crafted filters. The square format, reminiscent of Polaroid instant photos, created a new visual language for the digital age. Meals became art projects, sunsets became social currency, and ordinary life became extraordinary through the lens of smartphone creativity. The App Store ecosystem exploded into a universe of possibilities. Angry Birds taught us that mobile games could be global phenomena. Uber showed us that smartphones could summon transportation with a tap. Instagram proved that social media could be visual poetry. WhatsApp demonstrated that messaging could transcend borders and carrier limitations. Each app was a small miracle, extending the smartphone's capabilities in ways its creators never imagined. Processing power grew exponentially. The iPhone 5 South, released in 2013, included a 64-bit processor, the same architecture used in desktop computers. Android devices pushed RAM to 3 gigabytes, then 4 gigabytes, then beyond. These weren't just phones anymore. They were portable computers capable of video editing, 3D gaming, and augmented reality experiences. The introduction of fingerprint sensors marked another watershed moment. Apple's Touch ID, embedded in the iPhone 5 South home button, made security both stronger and more convenient. The gentle press of a finger replaced complex passwords, making our most personal devices feel truly personal. Android manufacturers quickly followed, integrating fingerprint sensors into power buttons, home buttons, and eventually beneath the screen itself. Wireless connectivity evolved from basic 3G to lightning-fast 4G LTE. Suddenly, streaming high-definition video on a phone became not just possible, but commonplace. Netflix optimized for mobile viewing, YouTube became a primary entertainment platform, and live streaming allowed anyone to broadcast their life to the world. The smartphone's role as a digital wallet emerged gradually, then suddenly. Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay transformed phones into payment devices, using near-field communication to complete transactions with a simple tap. The leather wallet, a constant companion for generations, began its slow retreat from daily necessity. Battery technology struggled to keep pace with these advancing capabilities, leading to the daily ritual of charging that became as routine as brushing teeth. Portable battery packs became essential accessories, and the phrase low battery anxiety entered the lexicon. Yet even this limitation drove innovation. Fast charging, wireless charging, and power management systems that learned user habits to extend battery life. By the mid-2010s, smartphones had achieved something remarkable. They had become indispensable. These devices weren't just tools. They were extensions of human consciousness, repositories of memory, and gateways to infinite knowledge. They knew our locations, our preferences, our relationships, and our schedules. They had become, in the truest sense, pocket supercomputers that made their users more capable, more connected, and more informed than any humans in history. As these powerful devices rested on nightstands around the world, their screens dimming in the darkness, they represented humanity's greatest technological achievement: the democratization of computing power, putting supercomputer capabilities into the hands of billions of people, regardless of their location, economic status, or technical expertise. As smartphones wove themselves into the fabric of daily life, humanity began to grapple with an unexpected reality. Our greatest technological achievement was also becoming our greatest challenge. The devices that promised to connect us were, paradoxically, creating new forms of isolation and anxiety that no one had anticipated. The statistics paint a sobering picture of our relationship with these pocket computers. The average person now checks their smartphone every 12 minutes, from waking to sleeping. Over 160 times per day, we tap, swipe, and click our devices 2,617 times daily, with heavy users reaching over 5,400 interactions. These numbers represent more than usage patterns. They reveal a fundamental shift in human behavior. Consider the phenomenon of nomophobia, the fear of being without one's mobile phone. This wasn't a recognized condition before smartphones existed, yet now affects 58% of men and 47% of women. The mere thought of a dead battery or forgotten device can trigger genuine anxiety, revealing how deeply these tools have integrated into our psychological well-being. The impact on sleep has been particularly profound. The soft blue glow of smartphone screens disrupts our natural circadian rhythms, suppressing melatonin production and making it harder to fall asleep. Yet 87% of users check their phones within an hour of bedtime, and 40% reach for their device within 5 minutes of waking. The smartphone has become both the last and first thing we see each day, bookending our consciousness with digital light. For young people, the effects are even more pronounced. Generation Z, the first to grow up with smartphones, reports the highest levels of anxiety and depression in recorded history. 83% believe they have an unhealthy relationship with their phones, spending an average of 8 hours daily on screens. The correlation between heavy smartphone use and mental health issues has become impossible to ignore. The phenomenon of phubbing, phone snubbing, illustrates how these devices have altered social dynamics. Studies show that the mere presence of a phone on a restaurant table reduces the quality of conversation and increases feelings of disconnection. We've created a world where being physically present no longer guarantees emotional availability. Social media platforms, optimized for engagement rather than well-being, have transformed smartphones into dopamine delivery systems. The endless scroll of curated content creates a constant comparison culture, where everyone else's highlight reel becomes the standard against which we measure our ordinary moments. The result is a generation that feels simultaneously more connected and more lonely than ever before. Yet the story isn't entirely dark. Smartphones have democratized access to information, education, and opportunity in unprecedented ways. A farmer in rural Kenya can access weather data, market prices, and agricultural advice that was previously available only to large corporations. A student in Bangladesh can take online courses from Harvard University. An entrepreneur in Nigeria can build a global business using nothing but a smartphone and internet connection. The devices have revolutionized healthcare in developing nations, where smartphones serve as diagnostic tools, patient record systems, and telemedicine platforms. They've enabled new forms of artistic expression, from mobile photography to short-form video creation. They've facilitated social movements, allowing grassroots organizers to coordinate protests and share information in real time. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed both the promise and peril of our smartphone dependence. These devices became lifelines during lockdowns, enabling remote work, virtual education, and digital connection when physical proximity was dangerous. Yet they also amplified existing mental health challenges as screen time soared and the boundaries between work and personal life dissolved entirely. The challenge facing humanity isn't whether smartphones are good or bad. They are simply tools that amplify human nature. The question is whether we can develop the wisdom to use them intentionally rather than compulsively. Digital wellness has emerged as a new field of study, with researchers exploring how to harness the benefits of mobile technology while mitigating its harmful effects. Some solutions are technological, apps that track and limit usage, notification systems that batch messages to reduce interruptions, and AI assistants that learn to respect human attention. Others are behavioral, digital Sabbaths, phone-free meals, and the radical act of leaving devices in another room while sleeping. The most profound solution may be cultural, teaching digital literacy not just as technical skills, but as emotional and social competencies. Just as we learned to navigate the physical world safely, we must learn to navigate the digital world mindfully. As smartphones continue to evolve, becoming more powerful and more integrated into our lives, the choices we make about how to use them will shape not just our individual well-being, but the future of human society itself. The devices resting silently beside us as we sleep hold immense power, the power to connect or isolate, to inform or overwhelm, to enhance or diminish our humanity. The question isn't whether we can live without smartphones. They've become too integral to modern life. The question is whether we can live with them wisely, using their capabilities to become more fully human rather than less. As we rest in the gentle darkness of night, the smartphones beside us are quietly preparing for their next evolutionary leap. The devices of tomorrow will be so advanced, so intuitive, that today's cutting-edge technology will seem as primitive as those first brick phones of the 1990s. The most visible transformation is already beginning to unfold. Literally, foldable smartphones, once the stuff of science fiction, are becoming elegant realities. Samsung's latest Galaxy Z Fold devices can transform from pocket-sized phones into tablet-sized workstations with a gentle opening motion. The screens bend without breaking, protected by ultra-thin glass and innovative hinge mechanisms that distribute stress across multiple points. Imagine unfolding your phone like opening a book, revealing an expansive 8-inch display perfect for reading, drawing, or watching movies. When folded, it becomes a compact device that fits comfortably in your palm. The software adapts seamlessly, continuing your video call on the smaller screen or expanding your productivity apps across the larger canvas. This isn't just a bigger screen. It's a fundamental reimagining of how we interact with mobile technology. But the real revolution lies deeper in the artificial intelligence that's beginning to permeate every aspect of smartphone functionality. Future devices won't just respond to commands. They'll anticipate needs, understand context, and adapt to individual preferences with almost human-like intuition. The cameras of tomorrow will capture not just images, but understanding. AI-powered photography will recognize scenes, subjects, and emotions, automatically adjusting settings for optimal results. A photo of your child's first steps will be perfectly exposed and focused, with the AI understanding the emotional significance of the moment and preserving it with documentary precision. These intelligent cameras will see beyond the visible spectrum, using computational photography to capture details invisible to the human eye. Night photography will be as clear as daylight, with AI algorithms reconstructing detail from minimal light. Portrait modes will understand not just faces, but expressions, adjusting depth of field to emphasize emotion and meaning. The smartphone's role as a health monitor will expand dramatically. Future devices will continuously track vital signs through sensors embedded in the screen and body. They'll detect early signs of illness, monitor chronic conditions, and provide personalized health recommendations based on individual biometric data. Your phone might notice irregular heart rhythms before you feel any symptoms, potentially saving your life with an early warning. Augmented reality will transform how we perceive the world around us. Point your future smartphone at a restaurant, and reviews, menus, and reservation options will appear overlaid on the real world. Look at a plant, and the device will identify the species and provide care instructions. Navigate a foreign city, and street signs will be automatically translated. Directions will appear as floating arrows, and historical information will enhance every landmark. The boundaries between smartphone and computer will continue to blur. Future devices will seamlessly connect to external displays, keyboards, and accessories, transforming into full desktop computing experiences when needed. Your phone will be your laptop, your gaming console, and your entertainment center, adapting its interface and capabilities to whatever task you need to accomplish. Battery technology will finally catch up to our ambitions. Solid-state batteries will provide days of usage on a single charge, while wireless charging will become so ubiquitous that running out of power becomes a distant memory. Some devices may even incorporate solar cells, harvesting ambient light to extend battery life indefinitely. The 5G networks rolling out today are just the beginning. Future 6G networks will provide speeds measured in terabytes per second, with latency so low that cloud computing will feel instantaneous. Your smartphone will access processing power and storage capacity that exists in data centers around the world, making the device itself almost infinitely capable. Privacy and security will evolve to meet new challenges. Quantum encryption will protect our data from even the most sophisticated attacks. while AI-powered security systems will detect and prevent threats in real time. Biometric authentication will become so advanced that your device will recognize you not just by fingerprint or face, but by the unique patterns of how you hold, touch, and interact with it. The environmental impact of smartphones will drive innovation in sustainable design. Future devices will be built from recycled and biodegradable materials, with modular components that can be easily upgraded or replaced. The concept of planned obsolescence will give way to devices designed for longevity, with software updates that improve performance over time rather than degrading it. Perhaps most intriguingly, future smartphones may begin to fade into the background of our lives as augmented reality glasses, smart contact lenses, and brain-computer interfaces mature. The need for a handheld device may diminish. The smartphone's functions will be distributed across wearable devices, ambient computing systems, and direct neural interfaces. But even as the form factor evolves, the core promise of the smartphone will remain: to enhance human capability, to connect us with information and each other, and to serve as a bridge between the physical and digital worlds. The devices of tomorrow will be more powerful, more intelligent, and more integrated into our lives than we can currently imagine. As you drift towards sleep, consider that the smartphone resting nearby represents just the beginning of humanity's journey into ubiquitous computing. The future holds devices so advanced, so intuitive, that they'll feel less like tools and more like extensions of human consciousness itself. In the gentle stillness of night, as millions of smartphones charge silently on nightstands around the world, it's worth reflecting on the extraordinary journey we've traveled together. We've witnessed one of the most rapid and transformative technological evolutions in human history. The smartphone revolution wasn't built by a single company or inventor, but by countless dreamers, engineers, and visionaries who each contributed pieces to an ever-expanding puzzle. Frank Canova's wooden prototype, Jeff Hawkins' wooden block, Steve Jobs' theatrical presentations, Andy Rubin's open-source vision, each played a crucial role in creating the devices that now feel as natural as breathing. These pocket computers have become more than tools. They've become extensions of human memory, creativity, and connection. They've democratized access to information, enabling a farmer in rural Africa to access the same knowledge as a professor at Harvard. They've created new forms of art, new ways of learning, and new possibilities for human expression that previous generations could never have imagined. The same devices that can educate and inspire can also isolate and overwhelm. The challenge for future generations will be learning to harness the smartphone's incredible power while maintaining our essential humanity. The story of the smartphone is ultimately a story about human nature itself, our desire to connect, to create, to explore, and to push beyond the boundaries of what's possible. Each upgrade, each new feature, each breakthrough represents humanity's endless quest to build tools that make us more capable, more connected, and more creative. As artificial intelligence becomes more sophisticated, as screens become more flexible, as batteries become more efficient, and as networks become faster, the smartphone will continue to evolve. But its core mission will remain unchanged: to serve as a bridge between human imagination and digital possibility. Connect with a loved one, capture a precious memory, or solve a problem they couldn't have tackled alone. Your smartphone will continue its quiet work, backing up your photos to the cloud. It will monitor for important messages while respecting your need for rest, ready to serve when you wake, but content to wait in patient silence. The evolution of the smartphone is far from over. Tomorrow will bring new innovations, new possibilities, and new challenges. But whatever form these devices take in the years to come, they will carry forward the same fundamental promise that drove those early pioneers to put the power of human knowledge and connection into the palm of every hand. Sweet dreams, and may your rest be as peaceful as the gentle hum of innovation that continues even as the world sleeps. As our journey through smartphone history draws to a close, take a moment to appreciate the remarkable device that may be resting near you right now. That small rectangle of glass and metal represents decades of human ingenuity, millions of hours of engineering effort, and the collective dreams of countless innovators who dared to imagine a better, more connected world. From the first brick-like communicators to tomorrow's AI-powered companions, the smartphone's evolution reflects our own growth as a species, our endless curiosity, our desire to connect, and our ability to transform dreams into reality. Rest well, knowing that the quiet revolution continues and that tomorrow will bring new wonders we can barely imagine today. The future is in good hands, including the ones that will hold the smartphones of tomorrow. Good night, and thank you for joining this peaceful exploration of one of humanity's greatest technological achievements. May your dreams be filled with the gentle glow of innovation and the warm connection that technology, at its best, can provide.